Thank you for this opportunity, first of all. Actually, I have put my old this thing on list still. Uh, Recently, I have moved to ICR last week, so even I was little confused whether to come or not. But since Madam also, I talked with them and then I plan to come over. And it's my pleasure for interacting with you. Actually, last time when we were discussing about change and all, some of you may be remembering. So this time, I thought that because this is a little bit nowadays, all the government agencies as well as private agencies are playing a major role in carbon credits actually. So I thought for the students, especially, this may be of useful. And we as a team from CW are in the Niti Aayog as a uh, invitees or technical experts for this carbon credit assessment. And based on that kind of work only, I will be just sharing our experience. Even though number of slides will be higher, but slightly I'll reduce or speed up the things so that any questions or clarifications, it's always welcome. So that is the background actually. Now, many top means private agencies across India as well as globally, they are coming into the Indian market for carbon credit assessment, as well as giving the credits or in terms of money to the farmers. So that is what it is happening, and even the Indian Parliament has also passed the law on that. So now it is possible to market the carbon credits. So as all of you know that the climate change and all other related issues. So I will not go into the details, but we have to plan for this, especially the carbon credit. Basically, if you look at that, soil is one of the main source for this stock of. Normally, we call it a soil carbon sequestration, and it's a very least expensive if you see. So in that way, now people are thinking about how to encash it so that the farmers get benefited. Especially this issue has been highlighted when there is some kind of pollution issue happening in Delhi because of the burning issues in Haryana as well as those areas, means Indo-Gangetic plains and especially the northwestern part. That time only Nidhi Aayog started this kind of discussions, and they want to reduce the burning by which carbon can be sequestered in the soil, means the residues, so that farmers also get benefits as well as the environmental issues can be reduced. So that was the basis behind which it has been initiated. And then some pilot projects were going on in both these districts, Haryana as well as Punjab, then Delhi, Gujarat, and all. So based on that discussions for them, we have presented this actually. In that way only, I am. What are all the tools available and how it can be calculated, and how the baseline can be fixed up, all those things. So in general, if you look at this, carbon credit is the difference between the two large fluxes, whether it is coming into the soil or going out of means going out from the soil. So both when we calculate and coming at the uh, what do you call final balance, and if it is a sink, then automatically the credit will be given to the farmers in one credit, two credits like that. And if it is excess or if it is a negative thing, then actually we have to improve that by different means. So for measurement, there are different methodologies are available, but some of them are very costly and some of them are crude methods. So as of now, there is no standard protocols available, but now form of making, and a few standards already has been approved, and people started using it by encashing it and registering in some of the markets outside India. But soon India also starting the process. In the parliament it has been passed, and they'll be initiating by 2024 itself. So one of the technique is eddy covariance techniques, which will give you the flux movements or whatever the changes happening in the atmosphere as well as in the soil. It will be measured, and it will be giving a daily based or whatever period you want. We can have a database. Similarly, we can have other methods by which you can understand soil systems. Alkali trap method is the old method by which people used to follow using titration methods. how much emission is there. And then based on the soil analysis, total carbon as well as the other fractions, we can come out with the stock exercise. And there are few empirical and process based models. So here I will be listing down few of the carbon calculators which across the globe people are using. And some of them are paid softwares and some of them are free these things. And major few things are like cool form to yeah CFT we call full form tool. Then exact it is based on FAO. Then AgriCalc, Farm Carbon Toolkit, Farm Dot, ACE Calculate. So each for each method there are some kind of data requirement. But in general, if you look at that, these are all the common data requirements. Whether it may be related to the management practices, how much fertilizers they are applying, what are the agrochemicals they are using, and how the transportation or in the sense equipments, what are the things they are using. So all those things will be recorded, and each will have advantages as well as disadvantages. So this is actually developed by University of Aberdeen with the collaboration with Unilever. So here, this is somewhat a simple tool. There is not much, what do you call, data requirement is also not there. So much of data requirement is not there. And it is calculated for the crop or livestock type rather than as a whole farm. So then it will be converted into carbon dioxide equivalent, and then it can be break down into GHG gas, other gases also. It is now managed by the Cool Farm Alliance, and we have premium membership if you want to use their database also. Otherwise, it is not needed for simple experiments or, for example, smaller studies. We can use this. Suppose you want to credit it in some markets like Vera and all, there you may have to have the aggregate membership. So the main advantages, if you look at it, is it's a very simple tool and it can be globally applied because many of the crops, whatever available across the globe, it is available there. So some of the factors or standard IPCC factors, it's already inbuilt. Not only crops and livestock also. Whereas the disadvantage is that it will be giving individual crop wise. Suppose if you want to do as a region wise or for a whole watershed based or a whole farm level, then it will be difficult. And some of the very specific crops like spices and all, which is very specific to India, it is not available. So these are all the limitations. Then this is another carbon tool called Exact, which is developed by FAO. So this is more or less you can have for the agriculture, forestry, and all other land uses sector, and especially the GHG emissions, we can monitor. And it's a simple Excel-based tool, so there is no need to advanced knowledge on computer and so this is initially it was done by European Union funded project that exact and then followed by that another tool is farm carbon calculator. It is a farm carbon toolkit. This is funded by EU and the Worldwide Fund. This is also based on the IPCC guidelines. Here also the advantage is that this is also simple spreadsheet based and the in-depth approach to the carbon sequestration, easy to change. Suppose if you have different scenarios like SSPs or earlier RCPs or whatever you call, so that is all possible. Different hypothetical scenario also you can create. And the main disadvantage is that regarding the livestock issues, that it is not very proper when you compare with the other softwares. Then this is AgriCalc. So these are all just for your information. You can also compare. I've done a comparative study with all these softwares and found that exact that is what the is comparatively better. For your information, I am saying these are all some of the softwares which is available. And this is a CCFAS and MOT tool. Similarly, for crop specific, also some of the tools are available. For example, rice, IRI has developed a software like that. Individual crop wise, also some of the softwares are available. This is one of the software by IRI, greenhouse gas calculator. It is actually IPCC has three approaches: Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. So this is based on the Tier 2 approach. Tier 1 is very simple. All will be mostly assumptions, and based on the country specific database, it will be calculated. So region-wise, it will not be available. Where tier 2 approach is a little more higher side, and tier 3 approach is much better, but it requires a lot of database. Means field data we need to have. And these are all some of the things already available in the scenario. Like people are started using it, and even nowadays some of the private concerns, even India also few are working in, especially in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, and Haryana. Niti Aayog supports that kind of studies. So for them, they are registering in the global market using these kind of tools, and some of them. So these are all how we have gone into the system. Is this is one of the project funded by the Department of Environment and Directorate of Environment and Climate Change, in which we tried for the carbon sequestration in soils under different land use systems in Western Ghats of Kerala. So this was done in three phases, and initially we assessed the carbon stock fractions, and then we have gone for potential and validate the carbon models. Commonly available models are like Century, Rothsey, and all. So this actually the selection of farms was done based on the agroecological units, cropping systems, irrigated rainfall, topography, lowland, midland, highland, then size groups, small, medium, and large farms, organic as well as inorganic. So all these factors were considered, and then agroecological zone based we have taken almost five districts we have covered and 11 AUs and 87 farmers with an area of 362 acres. So this is some of the lists of the farmers and sampling all those process, everything we were accounting, and few experiments also we have conducted uh, at the experimental stations as well as in the farmers field to know the management strategies, how it is affecting the carbon dioxide emissions, whether it is acting as a sink or source. For example, these are all some of the experiments with a greenhouse, drip irrigation, then nutrient management, mulching, all those things. Uh, Based on that, we have come out with some. So suppose if the emission is higher, what can be done to reduce the things? So the main things were under the, for example, if the temperature increases, what will happen? So that also we have simulated the condition using polyhouse and noted that some of the cases, that is even in the adverse climatic conditions, if we follow the adaptation strategies, the carbon emission can be reduced. That is what we could observe. So there is a possibility to go for the adaptation strategies. And this is one of the treatment with the cabbage, different fertigation schedules, as well as the inorganic and organic things like we have used the conventional alkali trap method as well as the carbon dioxide flux systems and quantified the evolution as per the treatment. And few published from that. So generally what we observed is, for example, in the case of perennial crops, the mulching or that kind of practices increases the carbon stocks actually, so that reducing the carbon sequestration, and slowly it is building up the carbon levels in the soil also. Similarly, black pepper, the root microbial activity was much higher, so that might have reduced, means increased this kind of decomposition and resulted in a higher emissions. And this was later confirmed with the FTIR and spectroradiometer database, because later on the government is looking at is a larger level, going for the satellite based measurements or creating a baseline. For that, such kind of baseline data will be useful. So we have done with the spectroradiometer also for different soils and developed the spectral library, which will give you the carbon content in the soil. So if you have the baseline, like if suppose in 2020 it is 1%, after 2025, if you are measuring and what is the change in the carbon level, by that the credits can be given to the farmers. And then we try to develop a decision support system based on that, coupled with the Century as well as a few other carbon models, DNDC and all, for the future scenarios also. And we could able to get a high calibration as well as the validation for those kind of data sets. And then the management strategies we were focusing, how that can be implemented at the farmers level when the emission rate is higher. So for that, we have carried out few studies, especially the drip fertigation, then mulching, soil and water conservation technologies. So how that is influencing the uh, carbon stocks. So that based on that, now the government has issued a what do you call the policy or the state standard protocol. So if you go for example, in the case of rice, if you go for alternate wetting and drying, that will be considered as a mitigation or adaptation strategy, so that the farmer can get the credit out of that. Like that, so for soil and water conservation measures also, in all the policies that has been linked now. So slowly they may withdraw the fertilizer subsidy, and they will be going into this kind of things. So few studies for the regional level we have done in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and Gujarat also. This is one of that study with different in Kerala itself, some around 22 plots. We have gone for the field demonstrations of drip irrigations. Here, both soil and water management was there, especially nutrient and water management. So that was done using some model. Actually, this is a hydrous one model for that wetting pattern, as well as nutrient movement we have analyzed, and based on that, the recommendations has been given, and the farmers were adopting. So ultimately, we understood that it will be increasing the carbon level over the period of time, not immediately, but after the, because most of the crops were perennial in nature. Then another thing was this was also again initially, as I told, in Punjab and all, the trash issue was happening. So for that we have gone for shredding the trash in the field itself, and with the proper water and nutrient management strategies, how it is building up the carbon stocks in the soil. So that has also been evident that if you follow that, this kind of improvement can be noticed like that. So this is what almost sorry. Uh, all the outcome was most of the crops we got almost double the yield. Then the product was very good, in the sense uniform product we could get. Then savings of water is around 30 to 60%, but on an average it is 40%. And reducing the fertilizers, then electricity, especially energy, you can reduce. But ultimately, in this connection, if you see, the carbon emissions has been reduced, and it is building up the soil organic carbon or carbon stocks. So these are all few studies where we have tried with the especially the second one in the integrated use of weather forecasting, that was done for the Punjab and Haryana region actually. So there only this issue was initially propped up, and based on that only we have gone for the study, and especially when there is a drought kind of situation, what will happen and how it can be managed. So these are all the basic data requirements, whatever may be the model we are using, and we try to validate it. These are all few of the field experiments. As I mentioned, we tried with the spectral signature also, so that this side actually you can see that is the satellite imagery, and side this one. So we got a very good correlation, in the sense numerically the values are different, but the trend is same. So later on, without going into the field, also you can have an assessment and understand both the soil characteristics, plant characteristics, as well as the carbon scenario. Then we coupled with the crop simulation, especially for rice. A few of the field crops we have tried, but perennials we have not attempted. This is for IR20, Ponni and all. And another study which is currently going on in Udamandalam is for the estimation of the carbon dioxide and CH4 emissions in different land uses in the Western Ghats region. This is using the eddy flux tower. So this is an advantage because it was funded by NRSC. So we got the real-time data of carbon flux. So that can be easily compared with the field observations what we are using through the carbon measurements, flux system measurements, or alkali trap method or traditional methods. So we can easily compare that. That is costing currently it is around 1 crore. Exactly. All everything will be CH4, nitrous oxide. Then other than that, the temperature, wind speed, all the atmospheric, means weather parameters, soil moisture, holistically. Three companies are there. One is Leica, then Campbell, one more Delta T. So more or less it will cost around 80 to 1.2, depending on the sensors what we are using. On an average, it will come. Actually, it will cover in the sense immediate this vicinity. It is around 2000 meters. But you can go up to 200 kilometers. That can be taken as the base. But depends on the land use. Suppose if it is a mixed system, then that will be having confusion. If it is a monocropping, actually we have installed in tea plantations. So coffee it will be possible. But suppose if it is vegetables are grown, then it will have a kind of confusion that flax will monocropping means it will be nice. Otherwise, the number of systems we have to increase. Actually, we can connect the sensors to the instrument, different sensors in different at a different. Actually, it will give the flux between the ground level to the atmosphere. So this was another project. This also it's exclusively not related to carbon credits, but actually this output has gone for the carbon credit. Uh, how the adaptive approaches, especially with respect to climate change, can be linked to the land, soil, and water nutrient management. This was funded by DST under TIFAC program, under India Austria program. So we actually we have done in three areas. One in Kerala, another one in Madhya Pradesh. That is a very drought-prone area, Bundelkhand, Tikkamgarh, that block. Another one is Gujarat, entire state we have taken. And Gujarat, it was taken by IRMA, Institute of Rural Management. And Kerala, we have done. And Madhya Pradesh, it was done by National Institute of Hydrology. So here what we did is like the agroecological zonation model we have used and tried to quantify the yield potential or potential yield or potential production and what is the gaps available with respect to climate, with respect to soil, like that. And if there is a gap, how it can be addressed. So that is what our understanding was. But ultimately, we have given this output to the policymakers, especially Nidhi Aayog and all. So based on that only, that carbon this thing they were now currently doing. So initially, all the terrain characteristics, climatic constraints, suitability, all those things were analyzed for all the regions, whatever we have done. And the basic database was climate, water, soil, then terrain characteristics, slopes, topography, and all. Then land use, irrigation, whether it is irrigated or rainfed, existing many climate models we have used in this. So initially, when we started the program, it was RCP, but later now it has been changed by 2022 to IPCC AR6 report. Based on that, we have considered SSP also. So all these five modules we have integrated and assessed the climate variability and what will be the potential production or what is the attainable yield. If there is a management practices, how this can be modified. All those things we have considered for most of the crops in India. That is what I was mentioning. For some of the carbon models, few crops like rubber or spices is not available. So we try to incorporate those things into the kind of model, or we customized it for our conditions, especially for coffee and all. And most of the models showed that the yield reduction was there, except a few in the cases of rice, black pepper, or cannot showed improvement in yield, especially if it is managed properly. Uh, Whereas coffee, we have found that it is very drastically reducing. Almost 81 percentage reduction was observed. So we have done few studies again in coffee, which I have not shown here. So based on that, we identified that these are all the things which is needed for especially if you want to manage the carbon as well as the sustainable livelihoods of the farmers, some of the things has to be identified. So this general, it's if you see that this is for Kerala we have projected, it's almost maybe looking like a general statements, but whatever we are saying is based on the findings, especially what we have considered based on few experiments in the field, especially research fields as well as the farmers field, because we have not restricted to the restricted to the research experimental plots alone. We have gone to the farmers field also. So if you look at that, the organic matter recycling was very poor, especially in Kerala, even though we have 40% under coconut, but being a tropical condition, that decomposition is much faster and the recycling is also not happening. So these two issues, one is the water management issues because rainwater, even though we receive 3000 rainfall, that all will fall during southwest and some to northeast. But from January to April or May, it will be kind of a drought situation. So the poor rainwater management as well as this organic matter management is both causing these issues and very low productivity. If you see, some of you may be also aware of that. So if you manage this both the things effectively, it will actually improve the soil carbon status, ultimately improving the fertility and leading to the final productivity. So based on that, we have designed a DSS so that the carbon-based management strategies can be given, and we have given for copyright as well as this patenting for the process. So we got it recently. So main things in a nutshell, if I say that currently we are following, actually government of India is following tier 1 practice. But what we suggested is at least minimum we should, because what they are planning is individual farmers account they are planning to credit the carbon credits or cash them with the money. So in that case, it is very difficult to create a baseline initially, because you can see from the graph. So if this baseline is like that, scenario A, B, so what is the change is happening? If it is negative, then he cannot be given the uh, or subsidy or something. So now we suggest that it should be at the land parcel level or individual field level. Then only it can be given. So for that, you have to use some advanced technologies, but it needs to be validated. So that is what now they are doing in a pilot scale in different states of India. So baseline first we need to create, and based on that, whatever the changes occurring, it can be predicted. Saying this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So normally tier 1 is what we are following, but tier 2 or tier 3 approaches will be much more what you call foolproof method, so that farmers will be benefited at the subnational level or parcel level. So in that we are there, and few organizations, ICR, NRSC, SCAUs are also there. So they are developing a process-based model. Actually, some startup companies have been engaged for this kind of work, and they are doing it. So once that has been derived, and it can be validated with the help of state agriculture universities as well as the those who are working in that line, and ultimately was a field level assessment, and for the then that can be aggregated to the state level and to the national level, because we have committed for by 2070 we will be net zero. So for that, even Kerala, it is much ahead, they were telling 2050. So by the time we need to achieve, means that this is one of the way agriculture sector can play a major role for reducing the emissions. So this is a general example what we are suggested to them. One is the scientifically designed study. That is what now it is going on, and other things are few mobile applications, and it has already been developed and given to the field level collecting like Nehru Yuva Kendra, and few people have been engaged from the school level also. So they will be collecting, and based on that, it will be going to the carbon accounting. And wherever possible, high resolution satellite data, whether it is optical, microwave, or hyperspectral, we are trying. And the seventh one is sensor networks, and this AD covariance, actually NRSC is installed across India. Almost more than 28 units are being placed in different grow climatic zones. So that data also will be coupled into this, and ultimately we'll develop a carbon digital map. And based on that, what is the changes happening in each season or each year? Like that, that is what now that has not been decided whether it has to be seasonal or at least once in a year we can credit. But on a pilot scale, they were doing for paddy in paddy and wheat and all in Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra. Especially paddy, in the case, what they are trying is alternate wetting and drying is the one mechanism that they have introduced. And if the farmer is adopting that, what is the changes happening in terms of his yield as well as the carbon status? Based on that, he will be getting the credits or amount for money will be credited to his account. So these are all few background models which is being used. And currently India, we are using DNDC. Most of the people are using. Century and Rossi, few of the people, researchers are using, but for the policy level, this biogeochemical model, especially the DNDC, is much better for our different climatic conditions. So that is what in, because it's an emerging area, a lot of scope for youngsters is also there, because many startups are actually being done by engineering graduates. So better they don't know the subjects, but still they are making a lot of money. So you people can also come forward in such kind of things because you may have some background, agriculture, carbon and all. But without that, with some kind of machine learning models and AI techniques, they are coming into the picture. Exactly, that is what the issue is likely because it's not a permanent. It will be actually very. So what now we are planning or the policymakers are planning is first thing is we have to establish a baseline. Baseline in the sense, for example, we are not talking about organic carbon; it's a total carbon. So suppose if you consider it 1%. There may be plus or minus 10% here and there. So that variation is allowed. Beyond that, what are all the changes happening? That can be credited. That is what the plan is. Because small variations that will happen. It can be because of lot of uncertainties. One is analytical error may be there. And second thing is we are going through remote sensing and all means definitely ground truthing will be lot of issues will be there. Then third point is the management practices the farmers are adopting. For example, if they are tilling it uh, opening the soils, then that may also vary. So wherever possible, that is why it is like linked with the management activity. Suppose if he or she, the farmer, is introducing some kind of conservation measure, then it will be considered. It will not be considered for the credit mechanism. So for that, a mobile app has been developed. So they will geo coordinate the points and continuously monitor the plot. So if suppose alternate wetting and drying they are adopting, or if suppose they are doing for a mulching or conservation measures, then that will be recorded. So after that, after 6 months, what is happening? Whether there is any improvement, that only they will see from that value to this value. So generalization is very difficult. So that is the problem. But other Westerners, how they are doing is comparatively their climate is different. So this much of quick changes will not happen. One thing advantage is there, and their large fields, no? So already they have a precise mapping of SOC. So it was much easier for them. But we have a lot of variabilities, topographically, climatologically, everything is there in India, and crop wise. So uncertainties are there. But still, this practice actually standard protocol now what their credit is taking is like for this practice only. For example, Rice AWD, one company has taken the standard protocol approval. So those farmers registering with them, they can get the credit. So that is what now actually we are objecting because it's all going to the private companies. Each one is taking for a technology that they are registering with the US markets or Australian market and all, where and a few markets are already there. So that is why now India is also planning to start. It has been passed and Gazette order has come. So soon they will start. Government itself will do that now. Few NGOs as well as private company forest itself, if you take around 25 to 30% of total geographical area. So we can encash it. But it now what these private firms are doing is they will take the credit and sell it to some other agencies outside India and they are using for the other purposes. Like they will be emitting carbon na, to nullify that they are using these credits. So government recently only government also has come into that. But still a lot of uncertainties are there. That's what we were facing. Even plot level to next level, if you go to the watershed or administrative boundary, panchayat level, a lot of variations are there. Very good question. Like that's what even we feel. Na, like I'm saying, maybe 2017 or 18, only we realized that there is a lot of scope in the sense when in one of the presentations, one Nidhi advisor was there. So he, after the presentation only, he was asking, actually research people are also doing, but it is not coming into the field or translating into the field for as a policy or implementation level. But as you said, now like we have some kind of limitations in the sense thinking on our own area. For example, if you are working somewhere in Coimbatore, we may be thinking here what are the issues, how it can be addressed. Our research perspectives are like that. But the other agencies like private nowadays, so they are not even sometimes they may not have the background. Actually, that was what I was telling. For many of the things, some of our retired scientists or faculties are only consultants or something like that. But still, they background, but still they are projecting when they show some kind of maps and all, na, it will impress the policymakers. And but the exact research things definitely they will not have. Strongly we objected, especially initially one or two meetings, even myself and our director went. So they were telling some of the blunders and trying to convince the policymakers, especially for transferring of money, subsidy kind of things. And ultimately, in this thing, what is the issue is, for example, Maharashtra, just I don't want to name the company, but what is the thing is that they will go to the individual farmers and register them, and they will ask them to implement a particular activity, for example, or SRI, or so like that. And all the database they are getting it, and they are selling it to the uh, uh, outside agencies. But in behind that, what is happening is that particular private agency is selling all their inputs also. So their standard has been framed in such a way that if the farmer is following AWD is the major thing, but simultaneously they will tell this fertilizer they have to apply, this spray they have to do. All their compounds, na, it is coming into the actual market. So farmer has been compelled to do that. So later only we also we have not noticed actually in the standard protocol it is not coming, but once you enter into the field we understood that starting from land preparation to harvest they have a lot of their products selling by that way. Otherwise the credit is actually very little. One credit means almost around 200 rupees, $4 to $5 only. Maybe conversion and all, if you see finally the farmer will get 200 rupees or something. But largely, if you see for a larger area and over the year, they may get huge money. But behind that, actually, they are selling their products. So that we strongly objected. And now that is why the government has brought their own laws. So it is not mandatory that their product they have to buy. Protocol has to be designed in such a way that only the practice, whether it is any management, that has to be included. It should not be any product specific. But we, as a researchers, we have to also, like you people, also has to have the awareness and try to work on that area. But we can do that, like modeling for many tools are available. So national level also, it is very difficult. And that is why still they are not fully withdrawn. Actually, many of you, I don't know whether aware or not. Initially, it was the company we were giving, means government is giving to the fertilizer companies in terms of their urea production or phosphorus and all. But now it is nutrient-based subsidy. Slowly it has been converted, not recently, some 10, 15 years back itself. So slowly that change is happening. And now next step is like based on the soil health card, they try to link, but that is also not working properly. Suppose if the fertilizer recommendation is 100 kg, farmers will be getting only for that 100 kg, they will give the subsidy like that. They were trying, but that is also not working because soil health card, it is being taken in 5 acres of parcel. So individual farmer wise recommendation is difficult. So now that is why now they are trying to link with the carbon. So at least if the farmer, for example, 8,000 rupees is being credited to his account, he can buy the and slowly government can withdraw the fertilizer subsidy to the fertilizer companies, not to the farmers. Actually, fertilizer companies only government is giving subsidy, not directly to the farmers. For example, if urea is 250 rupees, actually 750 rupees to 800 rupees government is paying to the company, and actual cost will be 1,000, but farmer is getting at 250 rupees. So that 750 rupees government is giving. So that slowly they want to that by different means they are trying, like that nano urea. So many things are there, but all coming up with some controversy and but still they are trying because it's a huge money, na? So that is what convincing the farmer is not directly coming here. Actually, they will withdraw the subsidy to the companies and farmer they'll encourage to go because that is why they want to incentivize the farmers. So if they adopt that practice, they will get the money to their account. So they may be interested.